to business. Westfield, Indiana, north of Indianapolis. Game 2 of day 2 in the Great Lakes region. Illinois got the bye, so its first game is today, and it's a tough matchup against Kentucky, which was sensational yesterday in a win over Indiana by a score of 1-0. If you are just joining us, hats off to Ohio. Another Hamilton win today, this time 10-2 right now. They're the team to beat and have already moved on to Wednesday to face either Illinois or Kentucky. Good afternoon, Jim Barber and John Gregory, who was in the LA Dodgers organization a number of years back. Well, Illinois got to do some scouting yesterday, and in a word, impressed with the pitching and the defense and also the calm and composure of this Kentucky team.
Yeah, and they should be too. We talked to these coaches beforehand. They were here last night. The players saw it as well. A good battle last night that we saw between Indiana and Kentucky. Low-scoring ball game, but this team out here today thinks that they have somebody on the mound that can slow Kentucky down, and they can put some runs on the board. So should be an interesting matchup.
Anthony Welter is the manager. We'll talk a bit about him along with the coaching staff as the broadcast goes along. Kentucky needed only one run yesterday to beat Indiana. As you mentioned, John, Brady Robertson had the RBI double to play the runner who had doubled earlier, and that was it. And then at that point, just leave it up to Kentucky's defense, which in a lot of ways was just plain stellar.
That's correct. You know, pitching and defense wins championships. Well, Ty Bryant on the mound, he did a great job pitching. When he moved over to first base, he played some great defense, but he really can field his position. Take a look at this play in center field. That's what makes this Kentucky team so good. They have all of it. They've got pitching, they've got defense, and the ability to hit the ball. Just didn't get that done last night against a good Indiana pitching staff. So, again, great matchup right here that I'm looking forward to.
Plenty of incentive for the winner here, a day off, and continuing in the winner's bracket. Just about set to start Game 2 on ESPN between the Illinois and Kentucky state champions. Harrison Tybe gets the start today for Eastern Little League out of Lexington. Got a good heater up there. Also can throw a curve and a change, and just the kind of guy you like in a composer situation. Yesterday, Kentucky used 3 pitchers, and Jeff Gannon, the manager, was asked prior to the game, they all seem to perform well. He says, well, sometimes you put a quarter in a bubblegum machine, you just don't know what's going to come out.
And that is so true about Little League.
All came out well. Let's take a look at the Illinois starting lineup that Kentucky will deal with. The speedy Evan Phillips leans off. Andres Welter, the manager's son, is second. Charlie Bergen is third. Joe Boggs is fourth. Ben Osterbahn is fifth. Max Berlow sixth. Reese Kolke seventh. Max Williams eighth. And Jacoby Lang will bat ninth. That's Anthony Welter, manager and third base coach. Jeff Kolke will coach at first. Richard Eck, whom we talked to prior to the game, will be the bench coach. Good to have you with us for our second of 4. It will be Evan Phillips, Andres Welter, and Charles Bergen. Scheduled hitters for Illinois in the first. Kentucky defensively turned double plays. Got a terrific catch out in center field by Braxton Burse, who probably has made the play of the tournament. Burse is out in center field again. And then, as John mentioned, a couple of comebackers to Ty Bryant to retire a couple of hitters late in the game. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You see Harrison Tybe out on the mound there. You mentioned his fastball. He's got that cutter, too. Works the outside corner versus right-handers. You watch your catcher Johnson behind home set up on the outside corner. And they continue to work out there. He's got great location on his pitches so far in this game. Just early, so that gives you a good indication that he's got some composure out there, just hitting the mid of the catcher.
To the credit of Evan Phillips, he's worked a full count, and he heads this one to right field. Stabbed nicely by Bryant, who beats the batter to the bag. Ty Bryant, who did it with his glove pitching yesterday, and comes up with a defensive gem here to start the game.
Another spectacular defensive play here for this Lexington team as they continue on from as they did yesterday, and he was the guy that got it done, as you said, on the mound at first base. balls seem to find him right now.
Yeah. Andres Welter, the left-handed swinger. It's the manager's son. Name is spelled Andres, pronounced Andres. And the reason for that, according to Anthony Welter, his dad, is that married Karina from Venezuela. So pretty name for the number 2 here in the Illinois lineup. Charles Bergen to follow. Later this afternoon, Missouri and Nebraska in the Midwest, and then Minnesota and the Dakotas tonight. Our volunteer umpire crew, excuse me, John. Phil King behind home plate. Andrew Kelly at first, Jordan Leslie second, Brian Hollowell at third. Well, if anything, the top 2 hitters for Illinois, John, are making Harrison Tybee work a bit.
Yeah, and if anything, that just brings up the pitch count. That's why you want to battle with 2 strikes.
Going the opposite way to left field. In fair territory. Hauled in by Brady Robeson, 2 outs.
Game 1, Ohio-Michigan. We saw a Michigan player out in left field, Jones. Looked like he had a beat on an easy fly ball out there to left field, but the sun got in his eyes and didn't have the sunglasses on. So you see Robeson out there in left field with the glasses flashing out there.
Brings Charles Bergen to the plate. Good power hitter in the number 3 spot. He is also the number 2 pitcher for this Hinsdale, Illinois team. Well, Kentucky emotionally, I think, would have to come down a bit from last night because that was a tension-filled, high-strung game. Loud crowd. Big-time state rival in Indiana. And having to come back less than 24 hours to play again.
You're right, a lot of emotion last night coming from both sides of these fans. And Kentucky had a group of about 50 or 60 people that came down on a bus, and a little bit more quiet, subdued right now, but another close game like we had last night, and we'll hear them at the end of this thing.
Oh, yes. Again, the 2-strike pitch. 15 pitches in the first inning for Harrison Tybee. Manager Jeff Gadan's strategy is to go as long as possible with him. They used 3 pitchers yesterday. And throwing a 1-hit shutout in Indiana. Strike 3 called. Charles Bergen, the batter, can't believe it. For Illinois, 3 up and 3 down. Kentucky gets the hit next. It's Illinois nothing, Kentucky coming up. Well, just the way that Kentucky would like it, 3 up and 3 down. In the Illinois first, the league would like to thank the dedicated volunteers who make the program a special experience for millions of kids. And that includes our volunteer umpires, headed up by home plate umpire Phil King today. Andrew Kelly at first, Brian Hollowell at third, Jordan Leslie at second. And let's take a look at Illinois' starting pitcher today. That's Andres Welter. And for Andres, got a good fastball, curve, and comes off a game for the ages, I guess, in the Illinois State Championship, John.
Yeah, a perfect game to win the state championship. And, well, you can't come off anything better than that emotionally. He's going to bring that in here with a lot of confidence. And fastball, curveball, changeup for him. We'll see if he was able to set down this Kentucky offense that was able to just put 1 run on the board against Indiana.
Here's the Kentucky lineup. Grady Johnson leading off. Ty Bryant will bat second. Max DeGraff third. Pitcher Harrison Tybee is in the 4-hole. Then Joey Howard, Graham Johnson, Leighton Harris, Brady Robeson, the hitting hero of yesterday's game, and one of the fielding heroes, batting ninth, Braxton Burse. For Kentucky, Jeff Gannan manages the third base coach's box. Marty DeGraff at first, and Tim Robeson is the bench coach. Here's Grady Johnson to lead off. Johnson, a big Tribe fan. Tribe still holding down first place in the AL Central. Slow roller third base. Kolke over the first, one out. Reese Kolke with the assist. The putout goes to Joe Boggs, one away.
Well, for Welter out on the mound, you throw a perfect game in the state championship. The one thing that'll tell you is that he's not going to put a lot of guys on base. So you can imagine this Kentucky team, if they know that, they're going to come up there swinging at those first couple pitches to try to get out ahead of him and not get behind in the count.
Talked to Richard Eck, one of the assistant coaches, and he says in dealing with Ty Bryant, we're not going to challenge him. Probably try to keep the ball away from him. You saw an off-speed pitch to start him off here.
Yeah, not a bad idea. This is one of those guys, kind of a slot hitter. You put it in the area, he can hit it deep.
And the wind still blowing out. Andrew Kelly rings up the strike. It is 0-2 on Bryant. Yes, home plate umpire Phil King looking for a little help on that and got it. Andres Welter is the pitcher. The catcher is Charles Bergen. The 0-2. Went around, throw down to first base on the drop third, and he is safe. I'm not sure Bryant thought he had struck out. And actually, it was Jeff Gannan in the third base coach's box that said, hurry on down to first, son.
Yeah, he was pointing down there, and you're right. Bryant took off and was able to get down there in time to beat that out on a close play down to first base. But it's one of those things. Do you appeal it, or because he's safe, you just leave him there?
Yeah. We're going to play on, apparently, as Max DeGraff comes to the plate. No score, bottom of the first inning, and the winner gets Ohio on Wednesday. Headed to center field. Bryant around second, and he will hold. So Kentucky's got something cooking here in the bottom of the first. And for Max DeGraff's his second hit in 4 appearances in the tournament. Here comes the pitcher, Harrison Tybe. 0 for 2 yesterday. A couple of strikeouts and a walk.
First 2 base runners that Welter's allowed, I guess, in the last 6 innings after that perfect game in the state championship. So we'll see how this defense and Welter on the mound handles a little bit of adversity here.
Well, that's a good early point in this game because really, I mean, if you're used to not having anybody reach base, suddenly at a higher level, you are facing a little bit of a challenge. Strike one pitch. So Tybe, as the phrase goes, has a chance to help his own cause here. With Bryant at second, DeGraff at first. Bounces in, both runners tempted, but they will head back to their bases. And in fact, in the case of Bryant, he was signaling over to DeGraff, hey, hold on, I'm not going anywhere.
Communication so important in baseball, and
oh yeah,
you learn it early.
You know, so far we've seen some traffic jams in this game between runners. And in a couple of instances, the base runners were fortunate that everybody got back safely to their spot.
Instinct tells you go ahead and run on it, but you have to look ahead of you, know what that base runner ahead of you is doing.
Well, did Tybe commit? No, sir. And the count goes full. So big opportunity for Kentucky early in this game. Kentucky had an early scoring opportunity against Indiana. Had to settle for 1 run, but only needed 1 last night in that shutout win. Toward right center field. Not deep enough. Bryant will tag and try to go to third. Here's a bang-bang throw. And a good backup there to save a run. Now the throw down to try to catch the runner to Graff. He's back in safely. But credit the pitcher, Andres Welter, with some good backup defense.
That's a heads-up play. Normally you do not see that from a little leaguer backing up third base, and that's his job. The only place this ball can be thrown is either hit the cutoff man, which probably Lang will get a talking to in the dugout about. If he hits the cutoff man, DeGraff doesn't make it to second base. But what a play by Welter. Heads up, backing it up to prevent that run from scoring.
Yeah, it's one of those things that typically you won't see talked about in a game result. And yet it could be significant. Runners now are at second and third for Kentucky with 2 outs. And the batter is Joey Howard. What do they say about Joey? He's just being Joey.
I love it.
Favorite
Joey's
movie.
being Joey, right?
The legendary Bad News Bears. Good off-speed pitch by Welter. He's got him in the hole, 2 strikes.
And yeah, I keep thinking about that backup behind there. If this becomes a one-run game and they win it,
yeah,
you can go all the way back to that play right here in the first inning.
I want to pencil that in for the moment. Howard on strikes. He thought the ball was dropped. It was not. Inning over. Illinois dodges a bullet. 2 strikeouts for Andres Welter, and after 1, it's Illinois nothing, Kentucky nothing. Well, for some teams, first-time appearances matter. Just getting used to the surroundings and the level of play. Wisconsin had difficulty in its opening game with Ohio. Not a problem for Kentucky last night. And we're about to see if first-game jitters matter for Illinois.
Well, any indication in that first inning, I don't think there's many jitters there. They came out, performed pretty well. Heads-up defensive play, able to get out of that inning without giving up a run. I think that'll give them a lot of confidence.
Joe Boggs will lead off the Illinois second. Left-handed swinger, first baseman, good contact hitter, and fast. Facing Harrison Tye, who retired the side in order in the first. Stands are not filled to capacity today, but as we move along this afternoon, this evening, the numbers could pick up. And of course, tomorrow Indiana will play, which will attract certainly a crowd. And this Wednesday afternoon matchup you and I will have between Ohio and the winner of this game, that could be something special.
Certainly will be. We saw that fastball that time by Tye. This is a team, Illinois, that's up there battling. That was a 71-mile-an-hour fastball. That equates to about a 92-mile-an-hour fastball in the major leagues. So think about that, up there trying to fight it off with 2 strikes.
Yeah, he can put some heat on it. His catcher is Graham Johnson. Kentucky yesterday flawless in the field, did not commit an error. You look at this pitch speed equivalent. You see one up at 77 miles an hour duck. That's 100. And we mentioned this in a previous broadcast. Lance Lynn, as legend has it, when he played in the Little League World Series for Brownsburg, Indiana, was throwing in the low 80s. That's what, Randy Johnson type fastball,
yeah,
Nolan Ryan.
You know, you've got to have somebody behind the plate pretty brave as a young kid to be able to catch that.
Aroldis Chapman, maybe. I sat behind home plate a couple of years ago when Chapman was a member of the Reds. And I was at Wrigley Field and got a chance to watch him throw his fastball, 99, 98. The interesting thing, he got lit up that day. Hit rather easily because the fastball wasn't moving. But it still looked plenty fast.
I consider 99 moving. I don't care if it's moving in one direction. No, that's moving. Fastest guy I ever faced was Mike Moore, 18 years old, and that was my first 93-mile-an-hour fastball at the time. That was about as hard as anybody was throwing, and I remember hearing it. I don't remember seeing it.
Well, that Brownsburg team didn't make the state tournament this year, but Lance Lynn, Drew Storen, he's got a Cincinnati teammate as well that played in Brownsburg. For a number of years, that was a real breeding ground, if there is such a thing, I suppose, for kids that were going on to higher levels. Good at bat right now for Joe Boggs, who continues to stretch out this 3-2 count. Pitch number 10 and 25 from Harrison Tybee already. And every pitch draws some applause from the Illinois fans. I mean, they're probably keeping count of the pitches too.
Yeah.
Good contact up there too.
Yeah, Jeff Gannan says that Harrison Tybee is a dominant pitcher. We saw a dominant performance yesterday out there on the mound from Ty Bryant. A dominant performance is getting guys out, but right now they're battling, Illinois is.
And down the left field line going the opposite way. He's got at least a double, and that's the way the Illinois second starts. Not to mention the fact that he used a lot of Harrison Tybee's pitches. By the way, if you hear that rumbling in the background, it's not a train coming through here, but it's pretty close.
No, it sounds like it right now. These fans for Illinois are stomping their feet. And there were some announcements before in Little League, no noisemakers allowed. Of course, you can't have this and that or that, but they said nothing about using the stands.
Absolutely.
They found a way around it.
Benny Osterbahn, the shortstop. Good athlete for this Hinsdale, Illinois team. Batting with a runner in scoring position and nobody out in the second. You know, lost in the shuffle of Kentucky's great defensive play yesterday is the fact that, as manager Gannan put it today, our bats have been quiet. Runner trying to stretch to third, and he's in there. Graham Johnson tried to pin down Joe Boggs. He slides in successfully. And so now the first run of the game is just a few feet away at third.
Saw Ohio earlier today take advantage of a lot of balls that were in the dirt.
Toward right field. Got a chance to score a run. Long throw to home plate, won't be in time. Illinois leads 1-0 on the sac fly by Benny Osterbahn.
Osterbahn doing what he needs to drive that run in, sacrifice fly, but Joe Boggs gets third base on a wild pitch. He takes advantage of a ball in the dirt. As you see Harris camping underneath it out there, a long, hard throw to home plate, but not in time as Joe Boggs with good speed scores easily.
To the plate, the number 6 hitter, the center fielder, Max Merlot. Merlot, likely the fourth pitcher on this team, can also catch as well as play a center field position, and hits for power in that 6th spot. .32 pitches by Harrison Tybee in just the second inning. And a lot of credit goes to that Illinois batters who have extended their at-bats by fouling off a number of 2-2 and 3-2 pitches. Time from the stretch. Strikeout number 2 for Tybee. 2 outs, nobody on. Reese Kolke, the third baseman, hitting in the 7th position. And another look at Tybee and the strikeout.
Up in the strike zone, getting him to chase up around those eye level. Chest eye level, you'll see so many of these kids going after that high pitch, and these catchers will set up. Again, you see there, Johnson not sitting back on his heels. He's up there a little bit. He wants that location to be up.
Reese Kolke at age 13, one of the few 13-year-olds in this tournament. Fan of Bo Jackson. And if you've watched the 30 for 30 of Bo Jackson, what a great player he was, not only in football, but baseball. Time he climbed the wall at Royal Stadium is Spider-Man like.
Yeah, you mean when he ran up the wall?
Yeah, that's right, he ran up it. Climbing would not do him justice, would it? Tybee evens the count of 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the second.
Another 71-mile-an-hour fastball.
Inning over, 2 strikeouts, but Illinois on a run and a hit and a sac fly has the early lead. Bottom of the order for Kentucky. Illinois 1, Kentucky nothing. Mid-second. A sun-kissed afternoon here in Little League Country in Westfield. Past champions Kentucky in 2016 and 15. Indiana awarded the title in 14 retroactively as Illinois was disqualified after using players that were not eligible, not within the geographical area. Then Michigan prior to that. And too bad for the kids of that Jackie Robinson team. We saw them play. We had a number of their games, and they were impressive, but rules are rules. Graham Johnson, Leighton Harris, Brady Robeson, 6, 7, and 8.
And Kentucky has had some success here, but it hasn't been Lexington area. It's been a while, since 1978, since Lexington has sent a team to the World Series. 39 years.
Wow.
It's been their rivals that have had the success here. Bowling Green Eastern, they beat in the state championship 11-8 to make it here. So that's a battle every year, trying to get by the Bowling Green teams.
Kentucky batters have struck out 11 times, John, in a little more than 6 innings of hitting in this tournament so far. 2-2 pitch here. Make it 12. Well, if Jeff Gannan had a concern today, it was the hitting of Kentucky, and I think that's a justified concern. Plus the fact they're facing Illinois' top pitcher, Andres Welter, and right now he's Andres is spot on.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing because they had to outscore their opponents at that state championship I was talking about in the semifinal and final games. They outscored them 21-15, so it was a battle, not on the mound, but who can score the most runs.
Yeah, baseball is so interesting. You play the game for a number of years. You come after a couple of shootouts, and then you come here and you've got 1-run games.
Well, you know, hitting's contagious. You hear that? What does that mean? You know, once you get that one hit, they all start to fall. And until you can break the ice there, sometimes it gets a little bit more difficult. And the longer you go without getting a hit, the harder it becomes.
Popped up on the infield. Pitcher's going to take this one. Welter with a put out, 2 outs.
Boy, I love Welter's composure on the mound. You could see him calling everybody off. As you get a little bit older, typically infielders, third baseman, first baseman will take charge of that. But in Little League, he's got the time underneath it to make the play, and why not? He's a really good athlete and took nice control of that one.
Brady Robeson, whose RBI double we highlighted in the beginning of our show, accounting for Kentucky's only run yesterday. You being a former Dodger, favors Clayton Kershaw to third base, bobble, fire over, it's in time, got him. Reese Kolke recovers and makes the assist. And for Kentucky, it's 1-2-3-0 across. Illinois starts with the bottom of its order, leading 1-0 over Kentucky. Hey, let's go back to a Little Leaguer of big dreams. Remember the guy on the left? Well, you probably know him by his face on the right. That's Lance Lynn. Our throw for the St. Louis Cardinals, starting with Brownsburg back in the day. Well, might we see a major leaguer or two come from one of our games this week?
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Lynn was part of trade rumors, but the Cardinals are hanging on to him. When he joined St. Louis as a rookie, drafted in the first round, his first year was a World Championship of the Cardinals. And Tony La Russa's last year's manager. Cardinal staff for years loaded with great pitching. Max Williams starting off the Illinois third with Hinsdale leading Lexington Eastern 1-0.
Great pitching and championships.
Yeah.
Something to be said about that, right?
You don't think it's a coincidence, do you?
No, and I don't think it's a coincidence the best pitching typically here in this tournament goes on to the World Series.
And you can hear in the background, good eye, from Max Williams, who has a favorable hitting count at 2-1. Facing Harrison Tybe, who's had to work a lot in the first 2 innings. Headed to center field, base hit. Illinois, for the second straight inning, has the leadoff hitter on board by way of a hit. And Jacoby Lang, the right fielder, and the number 9 batter comes next.
Up and down the lineup, you see quick hands by Max Williams as he delivers that out into right center field, considered a contact hitter. That's what he was right there. He fought off from the first pitch, battled, finally got the base hit. Gonna have a pinch runner here.
Emerson Eck, who's the son of assistant coach Richard Eck, will become the base runner. Illinois has but 2 substitutes, so getting him into the game will not be an issue today. In fact, Eck is likely to play the latter part of the game, according to his dad. He's one of the better fielders on this Illinois team. Jacoby Lang in the 9th spot. Like Max Williams, good contact hitter. We were talking to assistant coach Eck about bunting and the 8 and 9 hitters, and I said, "Have you got a couple of good bunters there?" He said, "Well, I wouldn't go that far."
Yeah.
But they are good contact men up the plate.
Boy, it's funny how the game has evolved as you see it in the major leagues too. Not as much bunting as you used to see, not as much small ball, and you don't see it as much in Little League.
Ball gets away, down to second base goes the pinch runner Emerson Eck, and the count now goes to 3-0. Well, we've been hinting at mandatory play. Here's what's important. It's based on the number of players the team has at the beginning of the game, and Illinois has 12 or fewer, so each player must play 6 consecutive defensive outs and bat once. Kentucky has 13 or more. Each player must bat once. And now the slow stroll by manager Jeff Ganan.
It's almost like he's taking a walk out there to allow the guy in the bullpen to give a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is, there's nobody in the pen.
And Harrison Tybe, while he's hardly worn out at this point, had to work a lot harder than I think he had hoped in the first 2 innings because of the contact Illinois was making on 2 strikes and fouling off a number of pitches. We had an at bat in that inning, if you're just joining us, it reached double figures in number of pitches.
And it almost looks like, you know, it seems to be down a little bit, but it's just a 1-0 ball game. Coach was out there, got his arm around him a little bit, trying to motivate him. Certainly nothing wrong with a 1-0 ball game here in the regionals. His body language indicated feels like looks like he's a little down. No reason for that. He's pitching very well.
Sometimes you wonder, too, even if this level, does a pitcher feel the strain of a Kentucky team? In this instance, it's not hitting the ball. Base hit left field. Base runner will go to third. That's Emerson Eck, and they're on the corners with nobody out. Nothing like your 8 and 9 hitters who, as assistant coach Eck said, make good contact up at the plate coming through.
Contact, and that was the good part of the bat on the ball that time as he hit that hard in the left field, and good base running by Eck. He actually, that ball went through, he allowed it to go through and knew he wasn't going to score on it, so he just kind of coasted into third base.
The winner of this game will draw the assignment of Ohio on Wednesday.
Be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah.
Maybe no team hotter than that Ohio team as far as plating runs at this particular time.
Now, in Illinois' case, the Hinsdale team had the day off yesterday, a chance to come in and scout Kentucky last night.
That Ohio team, 32 runs in 2 ball games here.
Ooh. The 1-1 pitch out of the zone, 2-1. And a tough inning for Harrison Tybe.
Still no outs here, so this Illinois team putting some pressure now on Kentucky for the first time.
Evan Phillips chases one there, 2-2. Runner third is the special pinch runner, Emerson Eck. Jacoby Lang is at first. Nobody out. To the infield and second base. Bobbled once, twice, everybody's safe. Tough play for Max DeGraff. Emerson Eck scores. It's 2-0 Illinois.
Saw this play in the big leagues the other day. It's not an easy play when that ball kind of pull cues off the end of the bat and is really spinning. It's not easy to come up with it. You almost have to trap it as an infielder. Ball falls in front of him there, and Eck comes in to score. He held up just enough time to make sure the ball was going to fall to the ground, and Illinois still has something going here with no outs.
That's a good way to describe it. Going to be ruled an error. Looked as if DeGraff had a chance to get at least one out on the play, as the ball did drop before him, but as you mentioned, John, a lot of spin on the play. To third base. Going to try to get the force out and did not. Joey Howard over to third base, and Jacoby Lang beat him to him. It's a fielder's choice, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Another close bang play down there. And take a look at this. Heads up play. You want to turn around, maybe think about tagging the runner there. Not how close he was to it. Not able to beat him. Reach around, maybe know where that runner is if you can't beat him to the bag, and I think that's a good call. He looked like the runner got there in time.
Now, for Illinois, you've got your 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up. And Charles Bergen, Joe Boggs, and Benny Osterbahn. Great opportunity for Illinois to jump out big on Kentucky. Bergen is indeed a power hitter at the number 3 spot. Ty Bryant is in at first base. Even with the bag is the third baseman for Kentucky, Joey Howard. And short and second are back at double play depth. A ball and no strikes. Well, Kentucky bats may have been quiet so far, but they're going to have to wake up.
Especially if this thing turns into a big inning here, which looks like it could be the case with no outs.
And Andres Welter, who is pitching for Illinois, has been good so far with 3 strikeouts.
The thing about Welter for Illinois is it doesn't seem like he's going to overpower you.
Nope.
But he's got really good composure, knows how to throw a couple different pitches, and can keep you off balance.
Play ready to resume. Count is 1-1. The bases are loaded. Nobody out in the Illinois third. Illinois already had 2-0. The batter is Charles Bergen, who struck out in the first. On the corner, strike 2. Harrison time to throw his 60th pitch. Count goes to 2-2. Jacoby Lang is the base runner at third. Evan Phillips at second. Andres Welter, who reached on a fielder's choice, is at first. And able to get Bergen to chase out of the zone, 1 out. Here's Joe Boggs, who doubled and scored in the second.
Big strikeout that time for Ty, because now he's got a double play that could possibly get him out of this inning, or infield in on the corners. They're probably going to go maybe home to first if possible. If it's hit to the middle infielders, they're back, so they're going to look to get it the hard way.
Yeah, I suppose the one thing you don't want is a big inning, and if you bring everybody in and somebody slashes one past the second baseman or shortstop, who ordinarily would have been in a double field or double play position, Then you could break this game open. One strike on Boggs. Left-handed hitter against the right-handed throwing Tybe.
I said the hard way, the traditional way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They play Boggs straight away. Down to third base, into left field. That's going to score a couple of runs. Boggs comes through with a one-out double in the fourth, and Illinois leads 4-0. He's got a sweet bat up there, and he has back-to-back two-base hits in this game.
Well, he's in the number 4 spot. Typically, you see that guy that's the power guy. Well, he's in the 3 spot, the power hitter. And Joe Boggs, they consider him another contact guy, left-hander that's very fast. And you can see that as he gets a double and drives in a couple more runs.
Well, what a difference a day makes for Kentucky, shutting out Indiana last night, but now in a 4-run deficit here. Benny Osterbahn is the hitter with runners at second and third. Still just one out, and Osterbahn becomes the 7th hitter in this inning. We had a scoreless first, as this one is poked to right field. Runner on third will tag. Here comes the throw to home plate. Dive! Great throw from right field by Leighton Harris to the catcher, Graham Johnson. And Andres Welter beat it.
What a close play at the plate that time. I think they may try to review this, and they're going to take a look at it. But I'll tell you what, Welter's foot was in there, so they may take, and I would do the same thing if I was coaching there on a bang-bang play. At least it slows things down. But how about this throw by Harris?
Terrific.
As he makes it close there, but clearly Welter got his foot in.
So the 4 and 5 hitters today have accounted for 4 RBIs. Boggs and Osterbahn 2 apiece.
That's a great look at it there. And boy, every time I see that bat standing out there in front of home plate with a guy sliding in, that's a scary situation. As kids get a little bit older and you're allowed to be on deck, the guy that's on deck, his job is to get out there, clear that bat out of the way, and really tell the guy which way to slide. Welter heads up that time, slid away from the first base bag, and he's going to be called safe, I'm pretty sure.
That's a good point, John. Didn't take long for Phil King off a replay to confirm the call. You know what I think about when I think at home plate? I think about Dusty Baker's son when he was just a little guy who was wandering out around home plate. And I can't remember who picked him up to make sure he was out of harm's way. But
yeah, and that's the guy that he may have scored ahead of him and then got him out of there. But the guys, there's always something to do on the baseball field. If you're on deck and you have runners in scoring position, your job is to kind of coach him, tell him what direction to slide, but make sure that bat's cleared out of there to protect him when he does try to slide.
8th man to hit in the inning, the center fielder Max Merlot. This inning started when Max Williams and Jacoby Lang reached on back-to-back hits. Then an infield error and a fielder's choice play in which the runner, Emerson Eck, was able to beat the third baseman to the bag. Has really opened up this inning for Joe Boggs, who had a 2-run double, and then Benny Osterbahn, who had a sacrifice fly. Well, in our earlier game today, Ohio faced an opponent that had already had a bye, and it didn't matter. But today, Illinois has come out with fresh legs and certainly fresh bats, and has a 5-0 jump. Joe Boggs at third base. The count has reached 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Got to be impressed with this Illinois team, the way they've come out swinging the bats. They haven't waited for anything. They're going up first pitch, swinging away.
Inning over, but not before Illinois scores 4. Joe Boggs has had a huge afternoon. We're just in the third. He's had back-to-back doubles. He has scored a run, and in this inning, he knocked in a couple. Illinois 5, Kentucky nothing. Bottom of the order for Eastern when we come back. Rather warm August afternoon here in Westfield, Indiana, with Illinois now ahead 5-0 in the game. By the way, earlier in the Illinois inning, Andres Welter was credited with a base hit on the play in which Emerson Eck beat the fielder over the third base. Not a fielder's choice. Our terrific statistician J.D. Hamilton and I got it wrong, and for some reason, John, you upstaged us on this, and I won't forget it.
That's only because I had the iPad scoring it that way, and I had to put it one way or the other. I had to make a decision.
You are a most gracious scorekeeper and unofficial score, and I think the majors would appreciate you too. But it was ruled a hit. So 4 runs, 4 hits in the inning for Illinois. Kentucky's got to get it started here in the bottom of the inning, but Osterbahn on a bang-bang play at first throws out Braxton Burse, 1 out.
Well, all the talk about Kentucky's defense and how good they are, and they are very good. They've been matched so far by this Illinois defense. Another ball hit pretty hard by Johnson as he's getting down that line, not able to beat it out.
And that is the third infield out, third ground ball. Back to the top of the order, Grady Johnson for Kentucky.
Excuse me, that was Burse heading down the line.
Yep.
There.
Burse, who had that outstanding play in left center field last night versus Indiana.
We saw that speed out there in center field, covering a lot of ground.
Ty Bryant, the first baseman, would bat next. No balls, 2 strikes. Andres Welter, who threw a perfect game in the Illinois State Championship game, throwing today for Illinois. Towards second base, the 4th ground ball out of the game. Handled by Evan Phillips, 2 outs.
If you're going to throw a perfect game, that doesn't mean you're going to strike out everybody. You're going to get the help of your defense behind you. Not afraid to let the other teams make contact because he trusts that defense, and it's showing up why. Steady all around. It's a well-coached team.
Yeah, it is. We're in the winners bracket this afternoon in the battle between Illinois and Kentucky. The winner of this game continues along the winner's route to face Ohio. And then the winner of that game, if we can mention, moves to ESPN on Saturday for the championship and the right to go to Williamsport. Well, they're not going to throw a lot of heat up at Bryant, nor should they.
Bryant just hasn't really committed at the plate.
And he seems a bit frustrated.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, many times we've seen him take a check swing for that strike. We saw it twice during the previous at bat. Once he makes a decision to let it go, he has to do that. Just let it go.
Some changes for Illinois defensively. We'll give them to you here in a minute, unless a strikeout's recorded. Merlo is now in left field, Davis in right, and Emerson Eck has moved to center field. 2 outs here, nobody on, and the 2-2 pitch. Second time today to Ty Bryant out on strikes, although the last time he reached on a drop third. 8 in a row retired by Welter, in Illinois cruising over Kentucky 5-0. Back to work here, halfway home of game 2 of our 4 games today. Hinsdale, Illinois is a city of 16,800, located just 20 miles west of the great city of Chicago. Famous face, John Lynch, a 15-year NFL defensive back and San Francisco 49ers general manager. Anthony Welter, manager and third base coach. His team right now is humming along, leading 5-0 in the 4th. Set the bat with the bottom of its order. Reese Kolke will lead off.
Well, Lynch wouldn't light you up, wouldn't he?
Oh my gosh. Reese Kolke, Max Williams, Jacoby Lang are scheduled to hit in the 4th for Illinois. Kolke from the 7th position in the batting order. And Harrison Tybe likely pitching his last inning. He's already at 73, 85. Including the last at bat is the limit. Tybe becomes the 4th Kentucky pitcher to throw in 2 days. Had a combined shutout of 3 yesterday. And he starts off this inning by walking Kolke. But the results are far different this afternoon than they were last night. Comes manager Jeff Gannan, and the question is, will that be it for Harrison Tybe, who has thrown 75 pitches, 47 for strikes. Let's take a break, and we'll introduce the new Kentucky pitcher to you, with Illinois leading Kentucky 5-0. If you would like to play Little League or volunteer in your local community, we invite you to visit playlittleleague.org. Enter your address to find a Little League program near you. It's your barber, John Gregory. Look at the stands here at beautiful Grand Park in Westfield, one of the faster growing cities in one of the fastest growing counties, Hamilton County, in the country.
Well, I can see why. I'll tell you, drive around this area, look at this facility, you can understand why people are coming here.
Yep. Nothing but the best. Number of high schools located within shouting distance. And a whole lot of young people playing sports out in this area.
Yeah, the facilities driving by those high school look like small colleges.
Braxton Burse is the new pitcher. He moves from his center field spot. Second pitcher today for Kentucky, the 5th that Eastern's Little League team has used over the last 2 days. And Emerson Eck, who ran for Max Williams in the 3rd, is batting now in the 4th. It's always a lot of fun to talk with the coaches and ask them, and most of them have sons that are playing on these teams. That's why they're involved. Well, can you say a good word about your son?
Yeah.
And usually there's a big grin. Some will say, well, they're a lot better here than they are at home.
Yep.
Comebacker. Burst recovers, throws to second, and got the lead runner. Good play by Braxton.
How about that?
That wasn't easy, and Grady Johnson made the diving catch at short.
I thought he was going to pick it up and go to first base with it, but he decided to go after the lead runner, and strong arm from his knees gets the out.
Ty Bryant is now in center field, and Harrison Tybe, who started the game as a pitcher, is at first base. Jacoby Lang, who singled and scored in the 3rd. Been the big inning of production for Illinois, in which Hinsdale scored 4 times. Kentucky's 4th inning will have their 3, 4, and 5 hitters up. Max DeGraff, Harrison Tybe, Joey Howard. This is Grant Davis batting now in the position for Jacoby Lang. Illinois has only 9 plus 2 available players. Caught by the catcher, chance for a double play. But unable to convert, so that's a great diving catch by Graham Johnson. And he is applauded accordingly.
And he should be. We've seen a couple good plays for him, saving a run with a pass ball possibly, and that time getting out and making that catch. Good reaction time. Watch this. He immediately recognizes it and gets it out there. Not an easy play to make.
So, John, there are now 2 outs in the inning. Emerson Eck is the base runner at first. And back to Evan Phillips, who has scored a run. How active have the catchers been in a number of these games with balls constantly in the dirt.
Workhorses back there. We've heard him described as a rock behind the plate, just a backstop. Johnson behind there is as good as anybody we've seen in this tournament. Or regional.
Later today, more winners activity. Nebraska, which won its opener yesterday over Kansas 3-2, will take on Missouri. Check that over Iowa. Will take on Missouri, 4 o'clock Eastern. Tonight at 7 Eastern, the Dakotas against Minnesota. It's a North and South Dakota representative from Sioux Falls. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Evan Phillips, you can see him. He's a little frustrated with that. He got a pitch he liked there and fouled it off. He was upset with himself.
Well, let's see, John, what he can do with a 3-2 count with 2 aboard, rather 1 aboard and 2 outs in the 4th. Phillips toward right field, hit it well, but it should be caught. Hauled in by Harris. Illinois puts a man on, fails to score. Kentucky with the middle part of its lineup coming up, trailing 5-0 in the 4th. A view for the backstop here on ESPN as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Work to be done for Kentucky, trailing Illinois 5-0. Illinois with a 4-run third, highlighted by a 2-run double by Joe Boggs and a sac fly by Benny Osterbahn. And the kid on the mound has been equally as good for him. Andres Welter, through the first 3 innings, has allowed just 1 hit and has struck out 4. Illinois going through some changes right now. Not many changes to be made for the team because, frankly, Illinois doesn't carry many players.
Well, but they're shifting around this defense. It looks like they're making a few of them. We'll try to get them all down.
Max DeGraff set the lead off the 4th. Has the only Kentucky hit so far. And DeGraff has 2 of Kentucky's 7 hits since arriving in Westfield yesterday. Merlot now behind home plate. Bergen now to third base. And there's likely another change or 2 in there as we start the last of the 4th. DeGraff takes the first pitch for a ball. Well, my guess is Kentucky's not been in this position very much over the last few weeks. Trailing by 5. A ball and a strike. Andres Welter to the plate. Got DeGraff off speed for a strike. Count goes 1-2. Welter yet to walk anybody, and really, John, he hasn't been behind many players and many batters anyway. Drop third strike, 1 out.
Now you think about it, 1 base hit he's given up. The other base runner that he allowed on was a 3rd strike. That was a drop by the catcher that got down to first base. Ty Bryant was able to get down to the bag. Outside of that, really, it's been just like it was in the state championship game. It's been perfect.
Yeah, and since that hit by Max DeGraff, Welter's retired 9 in a row. So he now has at least 9 consecutive scoreless innings, 9 in the third. And even more impressive, he's allowed, like you mentioned, just 1 hit. Depending on his length today of duty, Welter likely won't be available until the weekend, which Illinois hopes to be in that position if it is able to win today and then beat Ohio on Wednesday. And now, home plate umpire Phil King will talk with Welter, who apparently doesn't like where he's able to throw off his right foot. And I think they're going to bring somebody from the grounds to check out the mound area. And I'm not sure what the difficulty is, but I don't know if Welter fell off the mound or ran into something over there that was of some kind of hindrance as he went through his motion.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Trying to see if there's some type of maybe sprinkler out there, but they're looking at that front portion of the mound. But
now, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Won't see a whole lot from here.
So breaking the action with Illinois leading Kentucky 5-0 here in the 4th inning.
You know, Jim, we mentioned it yesterday that they've done a little work on this field. You can see some grass behind that mound and in front of the mound. And the wall in the outfield, that's not a permanent wall out there. They've set that up. It's in front of the warning track. They've reduced the size of this field and really have done a fantastic job. You see the grass behind the infield there. Looks like about 10 yards of grass that they've been able to fill in and grow that over a short period of time. So great work by the grounds crew in this tremendous facility to get everything done here. I don't know if they're going to bring out some dry dirt or what they're going to do, but it doesn't look wet to me out there. Can't figure out what the problem is.
Yeah, whatever it is, Welter's not going back to the mound for the moment. Kentucky has some activity in its bullpen right now. And at this point, we're going to have what appears to be a lengthy delay.
Yeah, they're going to bring a rake out here. Let's see if they bring some dry dirt. They're going to pat it down. Huh?
Well, you know what? If you throw a perfect game, I think you have the right to question the mound and its area around it.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this before. It doesn't. They just raking it, or there's some excess dirt they want to pull away from it.
Did you ever get fussy when you were on the mound?
No. Just take what they give you, I guess.
Now Welter will try to work with the area. Lots of changes. We mentioned Bergen went to third. Merlo behind home plate. Kolke now in center. Davis, or rather Kolke in left. Davis in center, and Eck in right field. So we're ready.
That was a lot of time for a lot of nothing.
Well,
just pull some dirt around with a rake and everything's good to go.
Let's see if Kentucky can regroup after this long delay. Count on Harrison Type, 2 balls a strike. There is an out here in the 4th inning. Andres Welter working on a 1-hitter and a shutout. Now it's a 2-hitter. Harrison Type, who flew out to center field, has a base hit now to center.
There you go. I go back to superstition again. Yeah, things are going well. You know, just don't make a change.
Remember the old late basketball coach Mr. Valvano from North Carolina State.
Yeah.
And worked some games with his brother. College basketball. He says his pet phrase used to be never mess with Happy.
No. And Happy was there. I mean, Happy was going on.
Well, let's find out if it matters. Caleb Womble's now at the plate with 1 out. And Kentucky with just its second hit. Strike 1.
It's almost like calling a timeout against yourself.
Yeah, unless it's just something that really unnerved Welter. Hit toward left field. 2 outs in the Kentucky fourth as Kolke, who's now playing in that left field spot, hauls it in.
Kolke took a step back, originally thinking that ball was going to be deep, and easily came in to make the catch for the second out, as you say.
Now Graham Johnson. Illinois has Welter, Bergen, and Boggs set to hit in the 5th. In about an hour and 40 minutes, Missouri, which had a bye in the Midwest, will play its first game against Nebraska. And then later tonight, Minnesota against the North and South Dakota rep, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which was a shutout winner yesterday. Behind home plate and on the second base goes Harrison Taib. Well, perhaps for Kentucky, it's just get that first run in and see if that doesn't change the temperature of this game. Ball and a strike on the hitter, Graham Johnson. Bounce towards second, should be the end of the inning. Despite the delay and John's superstitions, didn't matter.
No timeout.
End of 4, Illinois 5, Kentucky nothing. Let us take you back to the 3rd inning. That's the biggest inning of this game for Illinois. Emerson Eck able to score on the second base error, which opened the floodgates, as the old-time phrase goes. Boggs then threw with a 2-run double to left field. Then Osterbaum with a sac fly. And that's how Illinois did its dirty work in the 3rd inning, scoring 4 times for a 5-0 lead. And that's where we stand right now as we head to the top of the 5th. Andres Welter to lead off. Andres Welter, Charles Bergen, Joe Boggs are the scheduled hitters. Good off speed from Braxton Burse.
Even Burse had to, or even Johnson had, or I'm sorry, Welter had to smile about that one. I'll get it right.
Yeah, well, that's it's counterpart against counterpart. Popped up on the infield. Third base gives way to short. And it's hauled in nicely by Grady Johnson, 1 out.
Lazy pop-up out behind third base there, and Johnson comes underneath it for the easy play.
Charles Bergen at the plate's done a stellar job defensively today. He struck out twice with the bat. Kentucky has had, to this point, just 2 base runners, actually 3, with the drop third strike that Ty Bryant reached on in the 1st inning. Kentucky starting to run out of chances, and Illinois starting to smell a Wednesday matchup. It's kind of like a semifinal game when you think about it, because if you win that, then you're on to the championship, which would be the finals. Either way, Ohio awaits.
Well, the fans of this Kentucky team doing what they can to try to motivate this team somehow, some way. All that enthusiasm last night, and really the air out of the balloon today, it seems like.
And Bergen, nailed on the helmet, will head down to first base. His first base coach, Jeff Kolke, will check him out. Seems to be satisfied as he's okay. And here comes Joe Boggs. Boggs, 2 for 2. 2 doubles, run scored, 2 RBIs. $140 softball and baseball games, Little League Baseball on the ESPN networks over the months of July past and now August. Played Matt Fick, Chris Burke will join you and all of us later in the week for the semifinals and championships of the Midwest and Great Lakes region tournaments here in Westfield. But you and I still have a lot of work to do.
140 games. I was thinking if they played all those here, they could finish it up in a couple days.
Yeah, there are enough diamonds, aren't they? Well, they say 26 here?
Yeah.
Well, this tournament was going on yesterday. There were 2 other diamonds with competitive tournaments being played. Towards second base, hard hop, and it's going to go as an error. Tough play for Max DeGraff. Runners now at first and second here in the 5th.
In between hop for DeGraff that time. And we've seen him come up with a couple good plays. Not able to do that one on the short hop, and we're going to get another visit to the mound. Boy, tough to jump in front of that one. That's that in-betweener that you just got to try to knock down if you can.
Well, compared to the speed of last night's Indiana-Kentucky game, this one is crawling along. Approaching an hour and a half, we remain in the 5th inning. And Kentucky will go to its pen. So Braxton Burst gets some congratulations as he heads to the bench. And Kentucky now will use its 3rd pitcher of the day. Well, Kessinger, number 14, gets a chance to throw.
Now Kessinger's job now is just try to maintain. See, they're within striking distance. 5 runs in any given inning here, and they've got a couple opportunities to get this back. But his job right now is just to hold this Illinois team, if at all possible.
Yeah, it's been the biggest problem so far today. The heart of the lineup has really hit the ball well for Illinois.
Defensive change for Kentucky. After throwing 20 pitches, number 1, Braxton Burst, now in the dugout. Taking over on the mound for Kentucky, number 14, Will Kessinger.
So Burst leaves the game from his pitching assignment. Now Kessinger becomes the pitcher, and we're set to replay or restart our game here. Benny Osterbahn, who in this game has a couple of sacrifice flies. His sac fly in the 2nd gave Illinois a lead. It has stood since that inning. Back to the pitcher. Throw to second for 1 over the first, not in time. Fielder's choice. Pitcher to shortstop, 2 outs, runners at first and at third. Bergen at third base, Osterbahn at first.
Good thought by Kessinger. He's coming out of the bullpen here. You got to field your position. He gets it, immediately knows the situation, throws a strike over to second base, and Johnson, not enough time to get the runner down at first base as he was speeding down the first base line.
Max Berlow comes to the plate. John takes a high fastball. He has struck out twice today. Kentucky is set to put Leighton Harris, Brady Robeson, and Braxton Burst to the plate, the bottom of the Kentucky order in the 5th inning. And for Eastern Little League to have a chance, they're going to have to bring up a few more.
Got to find some type of rhythm at the plate. Nobody's been able to break through yet and break that ice to get them in that rhythm.
Well, Ty Bryant reached third base as the runner heads down to second. Like a delayed steal, and the throw to home plate. He's out. Charles Bergen, who was called on strikes earlier today and protests the throw to home plate as well.
It doesn't take these kids long to realize I don't have to argue with umpires anymore. I just have to point to get a review.
Yeah, play's going to be challenged, by the way.
And I don't know if the coaches even wanted to do it, but they said, what the heck, we might as well take a shot at it.
Well, leading 5-0, why not see if you can extend that lead here?
But it's just like every kid. When you slide in, I don't care if you're out or not, you think you're going to be safe. And even if you don't think it, you're going to tell the coach, I was safe.
There's almost a bit of guilt when you're thrown out.
Yeah. Yep, another good call. These umpires have done a tremendous job. And all of the reviews that we've seen over the first 2 days, one call, I believe, has been overturned. The rest have been close plays, but the umpires have gotten it right.
Might have been the overturn of the Nebraska-Iowa finish, if you remember.
Yeah.
That call was changed, and that ended the game.
To end the game, you're right. And when I first looked at it, I was wrong. I thought the call was right on the field.
This call on the field, as you had said, has been confirmed. Illinois fails to score, but still has a comfortable 5-0 lead over Kentucky. Our outfield camera, Jim Barber, John Gregory, spent some time in the LA Dodgers minor league organization. Illinois leads Kentucky 5-0. The loser comes back tomorrow in what would be an elimination game at 7 o'clock. And that would be against Indiana. The winner will get Ohio on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Leighton Harris to start the last of the inning. Check that. That's Charlie Rose. Chase Rose. So Chase Rose leads off the bottom of the 5th, replacing Harris. Kentucky badly need a base runners. Well, you think about, John, if this lead stands, Illinois is setting up its #1 thrower potentially for Saturday if it gets that far. And Ohio is positioning itself its top thrower for Saturday if it wins on its game on Wednesday against what at this point would be the Illinois team. So those two teams are placing themselves in a good spot. One out.
So many times you see a championship game and it may be a lopsided. You think it's going to be a good ball game, but maybe you've had to use your most dominant guy to find your way into the championship game, and it becomes a mismatch. So it would be a nice thing to see two of your best guys going at it.
Dylan Gannon steps to the plate. There's the strikeout by Welder.
Outside location again, pitch location, and be able to keep that breaking ball away. How efficient he has been, of course, in the game where he had a perfect game and today, and he's finally going to come off of the mound for the first time in 11 innings for this team.
Been terrific. He's really the most dominant pitcher we have seen. Charlie Bergen will come in to throw.
And dominant in a different way. And he's not going to overpower you with the fastball, but he knows how to get people out. Crafty.
Let me correct something about the loser of this game. Will actually face Wisconsin tomorrow at 10 Eastern, and Indiana is set to play Michigan tomorrow night. So again, that's Wisconsin versus either Illinois or Kentucky, and Indiana will face Michigan. Midwest still to be settled in terms of its schedule for tomorrow, pending our 2 games that'll be played later today and tonight. So Bergen on in relief. Welter, in the meantime, goes to a different position in the infield from the mound to third base. Well, Charlie Bergen's had an interesting day with the home plate umpire. First of all, questioning a called third strike by Phil King, and then on a bang-bang play at home trying to steal home, was thrown out, and the challenge was denied. Now, if you're Charlie, you want Mr. King to be your friend.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, remember me? It always comes around, doesn't it?
Said Derek Jeter was the best at schmoozing, if you will. Home plate umpire. Everything was always a conversation for Derek. He could asking about your family and friends and get up there and, you know, stroke a 2-run double. I had a friend of mine that played in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, played the majors, and said that if Jeter didn't get a call on a strike, never said much, but would turn around and, you know, just look. And then after that, Jeter was hands off. Well, I guess rank has its privilege.
Yes, it does. He earned it.
2-2 pitch. Headed on short, hit hardly. They're hard and thrown out for the second out of the inning. For Benny Osterbond with the assist, 2 away. And here comes Braxton Burse. Nope. Actually, it'll be Will Kessinger.
Osterbond that time kept his glove down nicely. So many times you'll see maybe it'll scoot underneath it. He went from the ground up. Easier to react up than it is down. He kept it down the whole time, fielded that cleanly, and a strong throw to first base.
Kessinger headed toward center field. 2-out hit here in the 5th for Kentucky. Just the 3rd of the day. Here comes Grady Johnson, who's 0 for 2 on a couple of infield outs. Grady is 0 for 5 in the tournament, has yet to hit the ball out of the infield.
Yeah, these Kentucky fans with that base hit starting to scream here, let's get a 2-out rally, something going. Can they go back-to-back with hits for the first time?
Well, a couple of hits and a bomb, as they say in baseball. A long one with Ty Bryant coming up next. Puts a whole different look on this game here, a whole different spin.
5 runs, nothing.
Getting base runners on here as Kessinger goes down into scoring position has been difficult. Kentucky has had only 2 men on in an inning just once. That was in the 1st. And Johnson prolonged the inning against Charlie Bergen on relief of Andres Welter. The Illinois played a flawless game in the field. 5 runs and 5 hits, no errors. Kentucky already has 2 errors in the game. Toward left field, dropping in, base hit. Runner around third will be held up there on the corners with 2 outs. So Grady Johnson gets the ball out of the infield for the first time. And with Kessinger at third, Johnson at first, here comes Ty Bryant.
Yeah, there's your back-to-back hits, and as you mentioned, a guy at the plate that can make this a 2-run ball game in a hurry. Kolke that time out in left field playing extremely deep, almost like they didn't want to give up some double or a big hit, but not able to come in and make the play there. Dangerous situation now for Illinois.
And Bryant got hit. Well, he's upset about it. I think he wanted a bat. But now the bases are loaded. Certainly wasn't an intentional thing. And I think Bryant's also trying to shake it off a bit. Kentucky getting a little closer to the tying run coming to the plate. Max DeGraff, who has 2 hits in the tournament, now comes to the plate.
Yeah, remember that adversity we were talking about earlier in the game, wondering how Illinois would respond, especially after the perfect game and the no troubles they had winning the state championship, and haven't had a problem up until this point. Now let's see if this defense can remain steady behind them.
A little encouragement from the skipper, Jeff Ganan, in the third base box. They're loaded right now for Kentucky. And all this Illinois adversity after 2 outs, John. Big spot for DeGraff. Big spot for Charlie Bergen to try to put out the fire. Base hit. That will score 2. And Kentucky working its way back into the game.
Hitting's contagious. Well, it's contagious because you got a new pitcher in there too. So
sure,
credit that. But back-to-back hits for Kentucky now as DeGraff's able to drive in 2 here and make this thing a 3-run ball game right now.
Harrison Tybe represents the tying run. This inning started very innocently for Kentucky. Strikeout, ground out. Then Kessinger, pinch hit, base hit. Grady Johnson, base hit. Ty Bryant hit by a pitch. Max DeGraff, 2-run hit. Harrison Tybe, the potential tying run. If he was to crank one into that wind in right field, the game would be tied. First things first, though, he just wants to get on base. And he is behind on the count of ball and 2 strikes. Here's a big moment in the game for Charlie Bergen, trying to protect his team's 3-run lead. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
Just outside that time. We've got a great location up here in the press box to see that pitch, and it was just off the plate.
Tybe awaits. Bergen delivers. Inning over. Big strikeout for Charlie Bergen. Kentucky, though, gets on the board as Max DeGraff gets his 3rd hit in this region tournament. We go to the final inning with Illinois leading Kentucky 5-2. Both Wisconsin and Indiana baseball teams for the day off, observing some of the competition today on a gorgeous day for the game. Entering the final inning of regulation with Illinois leading 5-2. First pitch fly ball center field. 1 away as Max Merlot is retired for the 3rd time today. Peeking ahead at the Kentucky 6th, it will be Howard, Johnson, and Harris. 5, 6, and 7 scheduled to bat.
Well, you could see those sunglasses out there. They were flashing in that sunlight. Brian out there in center field using his glove to shield the sun. Pretty bright out there now, as bright as we've seen it over the 2 days.
Yeah, yesterday we didn't have much of that problem, John. In fact, the only sunshine we saw was in the 4th and final game between Indiana and Kentucky.
And that was for about 1 inning.
Yep. Later today, Missouri and Nebraska. Later tonight, Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Tomorrow, Wisconsin gets the loser of this game. Indiana will face Michigan, which lost earlier to Ohio. Towards short. 2 outs. Good play by Johnson. Brady's got a nice arm over there.
Covers a lot of the ground. 2 very good defensive players when you're talking about the Johnson brothers. Graham behind the plate, and Grady on that play right there.
Here's Max Williams coming to the plate. Max had a single in the third, was replaced by Emerson Eck, who ran for him and scored, and then Eck batted in the fourth. Now Williams back in the hitting spot in the sixth. A chance to see Kearney, Nebraska, John, in a little more than an hour. Impressive yesterday in a 3-2 victory over Iowa. Talk about teams that have got a little history here in the Midwest region, actually Great Lakes region. Midwest part of the country. And actually, I was right the first time. They are in the Midwest Division.
It gets a little crazy. I'm with you. Hang with us.
Right back at us there. Of course, I hardly flinched.
You had it all the way.
Yeah, right. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Kessinger trying for a perfect 6th inning.
Go a long way to get his team back in the dugout. They found that rhythm, that hitting contagious.
Toward right field, that'll drop for a base hit. So Max Williams is 2 for 2. Keeps the inning alive for Jacoby Lang, who in this game singled in the third and scored. And we may have a pinch runner.
6 for 9, please. Re-entering the game for Illinois. Jacoby Lang.
Now what they're going to do here, Lang will still continue to bat.
He can't do that. He's already what? He's already run through. No, he could pinch runner. Pinch runner, you could do that. Special pinch runner. No. Or just pinch runner.
So I wonder if they're going to move Lang in as a pinch runner.
3 is entering 3.
Re-entering the game for Illinois. Now running at first.
Actually be Emerson Eck re-entering as a pinch runner.
Well, how about the scorekeepers? They got it down. Don't try to slide anything by them.
And Little League Baseball has actually simplified things this year with the number of substitutes you can make, less than last season. Slow roller to third base. We go to the Kentucky 6. Last chance for Eastern Little League. They need 3 to tie and 4 to win it. 5-2 Illinois over Kentucky. Hello, fellas. In about an hour, you get to step into the ESPN spotlight. Champions of the state of Nebraska and Kearney will face Missouri, who got the bye until Monday's activity. That's in the Midwest region. That is coming up at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. John and I will be here for it. Charlie Bergen, who had a huge strikeout to end the 5th, trying to polish Kentucky off in the 6th and send Illinois along its way in the winner's bracket to face Ohio on Wednesday. Leading off, Caleb Wombles, who batted back in the 4th inning and flew out to left, 0 for 1. Down 2 strikes. Andre Swelter started for Illinois, and he was spectacular. Wow, that's a waste pitch right there. Kentucky needs a couple of base runners to have a chance. Graham Johnson, then Leighton Harris to follow for Eastern Little League.
Watching Wombles there, you know that rule, you got to keep that foot in there. He fouled that off, and he was struggling to try to keep the foot inside the box.
That's uneasy to do.
He doesn't want to break any rules.
First warning typically is just a warning. Center field base hit. Good start to Kentucky's bottom of the 6th.
Sometimes the easiest way or the best way to break the ice there and start getting hits back to back is get a change on the mound, and they took Welter out, and since then it's really ignited this Kentucky offense as they've started to turn the ball around on Illinois, and now looks like they're going to make another change.
Illinois will have its 3rd pitcher of record. Benny Osterbahn, who started this game in the shortstop spot, will try to close it out. So the Kentucky bats very quiet through the first game, and then most of this second one have awoke here in the 5th. And now in the 6th, they're a man away from getting the tying run to the plate.
Go ahead, Benny. Go ahead.
Got to get rid of the sunglasses out on the mound.
Not likely to need them over there.
No.
Defensive changes for Illinois. After throwing 23 pitches with a personal count of 20, number 12, Charlie Bergen, overturned third base.
Charlie Bergen now moves to the mound at third base. Andres Welter is the shortstop.
Playing shortstop for Illinois, number 2, Andres Welter.
And Graham Johnson is going to step to the plate for Kentucky. Johnson so far in the tournament 1 for 4, a run scoring double against Indiana. Osterbahn, who's a big fan of the Yankees' Aaron Judge, is 5'4", 96 pounds, right-handed thrower. Got good velocity and more importantly, good control, which will be needed here because Kentucky will be looking to position itself to get that tying run to the plate.
Now, as you said, they needed base runners, of course, and they get one on here with no out. So, again, puts a little more pressure on Hinsdale's defense. If they can get one more on here, then you can start to manufacture some things and try to somehow get that 3rd run in if they can. But it's going to be tough to do it against this tough defense. We'll see how they stand up to it.
Illinois' defense yet to commit an error today. Osterbahn to the plate. Strike called on the hitter Graham Johnson.
You bring in a guy like Osterbahn, and the reason why you do is hopefully he can throw strikes. You don't want to give up any free passes. Illinois has not done that throughout today. Kentucky's had to try to earn everything they can.
On the second base goes Joey Howard. He is not a significant run at this point.
No, but getting to second base is important because it takes them out of that double play situation.
That's
so
right.
that's one win for Kentucky. It's got to win every battle here you possibly can, and then maybe just tie this thing up.
Graham Johnson, the identical twin of Grady Johnson. Kentucky trying to get a rally for the ages after trailing 5-0 in the 4th, scored twice. Has a man on board. On base right now, nobody out in the 6th. Best comeback of the tournament belongs to Texas East, trailing Texas West in Waco on ESPN, 7-0. Came back to actually take the lead in regulation, gave up the tying run in the 6th, fell behind by 2 in the 7th, and got 3 to win it.
Wow. Imagine that's a pretty good rivalry, Texas East and West.
Yeah, pretty good teams, too. Ball and 2 strikes. Osterbahn trying to get the first out of the inning. Towards second base. Runner will hold, 1 out.
Womble's not taking a chance at second base that time. Even a ground ball hit to the right side, he did not go. His run's not that important right now, so not making that first out at third base is important.
Winner of this game gets Ohio on Wednesday. The loser faces Wisconsin tomorrow. Here's Leighton Harris.
Look at your catcher here. He's going to come back in the game as a catcher. Yeah, you're not going to get back. He's in the game. 11. Ball is coming in the catch. Yeah. 11 is going to position.
They are going to switch, and Burgeon, I think, is going to go catch now.
Go ahead and switch. 11, go. And number 11.
That's an interesting change at this point.
In the middle of an inning, you typically don't see that, so.
Number 4 is going to position. 4 is going to 5. 4 is going to.
So another break in the action. Game now approaching 2 hours. Kentucky still a base runner away from getting the tying run to the plate, which happened, by the way, back in the 5th. But Harrison Tybe struck out. As you know, Charlie Bergen came on in relief and now is in a catcher's position. If a pitcher throws 41 pitches plus in a game, he cannot become the catcher for the remainder of the game. That was not the case with Bergen, who threw under 25. So Bergen behind home plate right now, as Illinois manager Anthony Welter goes to the substitution. Reese Kolke becomes the third baseman. And Benny Osterbahn is set to face Leighton Harris. 1 on, 1 out. Last chance for Kentucky.
Pretty interesting switch there, but Burgeon, you can see immediately gets behind home plate. He starts barking out some things to the infielder. He may be the guy they trust behind the plate more than anybody else in this situation, but just curious to, why they made that switch.
2 balls, no strikes on Harris. Popped it up. Playable in left field, 2 outs. Big pitch by Osterbahn on a 2-0 count. And Kentucky is down to its last out. It'll be up to Dylan Gannon, trying to save the day for Kentucky. Gannon hit in the 5th and grounded out. This inning began when Joey Howard reached on a hit, eventually wound up at second in back-to-back outs. And now Illinois 2 strikes and an out away from wrapping up its first game victory. Osterbahn looks into Charlie Bergen and delivers. And now he's a strike away. Game over. Illinois celebrates a 5-2 victory over Kentucky. For Kentucky in the 6th, no runs a hit, nobody errors, no errors, and 1 left. And so now Illinois moves on in the winner's bracket to face Ohio on Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. And playing for its life tomorrow will be Kentucky against Wisconsin at 10 Eastern, 9 Central a.m. here on the ballpark field.
That'll be a great matchup on Wednesday between that Illinois and Ohio team. And for Kentucky, after a 1-0 victory last night, they scored 2 runs today, so they got to find a way to get some runs. They're still in this thing. They've got a great defense and some very good pitching, so they're not out of it yet.
And they'll get a day of rest, and or at least a little time rest. They'll have to come back tomorrow and play again. And we'll look forward to seeing Illinois again, who will juggle its day off schedule to face Ohio on Wednesday. For John Gregory, Jim Barber, we'll see you in about an hour as we switch over to the Midwest region for Nebraska and Missouri.